Good afternoon and welcome back. While HR analytics is a very catchy phrase, and I could see in large numbers today people coming over here, what I'm going to do here is going to be applicable to anyone who is starting an analytics unit. Today, organizations are clamoring for attracting, hiring, engaging, building talent, and my context will be in the analytics context. All this is to unlock the power of data that they already created over years. Today they are looking at delivering business outcomes. But the hard truth is that it's very difficult to get a good data scientist. It's very difficult. I mean, there are very few in this country. Today, what is the reason that people are investing in this analytics competency development? And the second point would be, what are these talent challenges? And remember, I'm talking about analytics as a unit. HR practice is one domain. I would have a BFSI domain, I would have a retail domain. How do I build these competencies across that are required across these domains and perhaps certain horizontal things? Third, we look at, we have been interacting with clients in building these capabilities for their units and for their organizations. So what are clients asking for today? How are they bootstrapping? And what we believe, the fourth one, are the suggested learning interventions that we could look at across roles, across domains, and so on, right? So as I said, today organizations are at different maturity levels, right? Some are in the phase of putting data in order, some are in the phase of discovery, some are in the phase of predicting, and beyond, right? So there is enough data, in fact, there is deluge. So the question is, how do we leverage this and bring value to the customers, business partners, key stakeholders? And essentially what we are talking about, these three things: maximize revenue, minimize costs, and manage the risks. So all that, irrespective of the domain, people are trying to do in the analytics unit is to address these. And of course, faster, and if possible, real time. Having said that, we all understand there is a demand-supply gap. In fact, it's a paradox, right? There is demand, there is supply, but the match is the question mark. So setting up an analytics unit is not trivial. And I'm saying this because I have worked in the past in previous organization in the some aspects of the analytics. So there is a organization dynamics, or the structure you might call, strategy you might call, horizontal. Should it be horizontal or should it be vertical? And when I say horizontal, it is going to service all these domains. Or should it be like a COE, a dedicated unit? Typically banks have that. There are technology evolutions, and there are client expectations, and the speed of the business all play an important role. So in all this, talent is only one aspect. So we have to look at talent along with all this. There is a technology part, there is a org structure part, and how do we address along with this? So I will be looking at only the two parts here. The first one is recruiting data science talent. There is a lot of immigration from the IT talent to the data science talent. In a sense, it is good. However, what is to be done, what is required for certain roles and so on is a question that people are addressing, and how are they addressing, we'll take a look. The other is training data science talent, right? There are three challenges that we see when people are asking for capability development. Firstly, it's quite an interdisciplinary nature. There is a C, S, and E component. The computing part includes the programming, database, algorithms, performance. And then there is a science part. Is 86% the right accuracy measure? Can we do better? And if so, how much time we want to invest? How much complexity we want to bring in? Is the simple model better than this? And then there is the technology or the engineering part, which is the big data. Can we do it in memory? Can we do it real time? That's where all these Apache Spark, Storm, and things like that come in. So how do we build all these capabilities together? And then comes from the interdisciplinary nature to, there is a professional dimension. The way the software engineering is done for projects in IT is not the same as the, for the data science projects. So there is a dimension of project management which is different. There is a business acumen which is different. On top of it, if you belong to this domain, I want this analytics to be applicable to my domain. And HR practice is one such domain. So how do we build these capabilities together? Where do we start? What roles do we look at? And where is the scoping? So here I bring in the kind of interactions that we had with the client. These were one from the bank, one from the computer manufacturing industry, one from largest IT services company. So the essence is, there is a role and a skill, and how do we get this role and skill to work for what we want in my context. So that's the scenario that we are talking about. So let's take a look at these scenarios. So we are working with one of the PSU bank, and as you are aware, mostly they have a BI and DW unit, right? And most of the banks are good at the descriptive part and to some extent the discovery part. The predictive part, I think, very early. A few have also moved beyond the structured to the unstructured also. This is the scenario. So see the composition of the team. So you have got very disparate teams, the one which are statisticians and the one which are bankers. And now you are looking at making a high-end analytics team. We are working on a solution to look at how do we cross-skill these through use cases. So each other guy gets to know through the use case, here is my business use case, how do I make use of techniques, how do I make use of technology. Let's take a look at the second example. It's a large MNC computer manufacturing company. They already have a data science pool, and there are certain BI and DW pool. So the BI and DW pool, they want to create a career progression, and the data science pool, very advanced techniques. And in the context of supply chain domain, it's not just the data science competencies required, but the domain attached to this. And here is my third example, which is an IT services company trying to transform the IT engineers to data science engineers. And they are looking at, they're investing actually. So it's a little longer time than a day or a few days or a few weeks kind of a program. And what they're looking at is an integrated solution where people will have IT and the data science skills, right? So the essence here is, if you see, there are these three categories, one at a very early role, one at the middle kind of roles, and one at the senior roles, right? And for all of them, there is a need for building the capabilities, the analytics capabilities across these roles. I was hearing in the morning, and very clearly, this is not one single monolithic group or a team. What I meant here is these are the roles. For example, in banks, the leadership roles could start from bank manager, nodal officer, right, and onwards. The architects and the designers is a class of the data scientists, that senior data scientists, these are certain kind of roles. And then you have the developers and the analysts. So let's look at, and of course the aspirants. Today, people are looking at making a career shift into the data science area. So how do I hire them? Is it the same way, or is I take a test and an interview? And today, even the IT industry has moved beyond the test and interview to programming skills and so on. Do the same programming skills work here in data science? Possibly yes, may not be all the time true. So what are those? So let's look at each of these roles. So McKinsey calls this as a business translator role. This is the role which is sitting inside the business, inside the domain, near the client, looking, constantly hunting for how to create or how to generate revenue. So their job, they have a lot of domain expertise. They have worked for years in BFSI, let's say this guy is from BFSI domain. They have a good business acumen, right? They are looking for the right use cases that could materially impact that area. So in case of a bank, I think it's about, for example, when we were talking to the bank, they said, can you help me build a model to predict cash in my ATM? right? How do I build capabilities to build such models? How do I cross-sell a product to my new customers? Can you help me build model with my data that I can share with you, right? Here, the leaders that we are talking about, these are the people who have very deep domain knowledge. They have also very deep organization knowledge, right? The data might throw something, but they will use those insights and use the organization knowledge to take a decision. And they have that, credit card expertise, or they have the actuarial expertise and so on. So essentially, the needs are different. So today, if you have to look at a bank and say, how can my bank managers be enabled for analytics? Essentially, it's about demystifying analytics, appreciation of what problems, for example, a machine learning can solve at these roles, and asking very disruptive questions. For example, can IoT be used for HR analytics, or can IoT be used for financial services? Then you have this role, which is the data scientist role, and these are the ones which formulate the problem. So the business case becomes y equal to mx plus c. And these are the problems that the plug-in approach happens. So what are the right solutions that we want to build for this? How do I make use of data end to end? And there the journey starts, the data science life cycle. So right from the data, is this enough? Is the sampling enough? So when we were talking to the banks said, technology is fine, but I think I can live with sampling. So if I can work out a model on the sample size, and sample is a true representative of my population, I'm fine with it. Whereas the others said, I don't worry about the size of the data. Today, technology is there to enable me, and as long as I can build a model over it, is fine. So the needs for these roles are plug and play of various machine learning algorithms, big data technology stack, right? And there are a lot of open source tools. How do I do the ingestion, to how do I do the processing, modeling, to how do I publish it, right? There are both proprietary as well as open source technologies. So how do I build a solution around this? If you look at developers and the analysts, so these are the roles like the data engineers, the big data analyst, data visualization analyst, and so on. These are the technical know-how guys. These are the code gurus, code monks, or you can call code hackers. They understand the algorithms, they understand the data structures that can be used for working with the data. They are the ones who transform the data, right? Deep tech savvy and bring speed and efficiency when they're trying to work on. So if these are the needs and if these are the requirements at each role, what skills can be built? Yes, there is one more aspirant's role. So these are the people who company today looks at saying, I want to build my pipeline for data science talent, and how do I hire them? Or what tests do I need, assessments do I need to get the right guys in? This is one case study that we completed with one of the clients on trying to create a pipeline using the data science challenges. Especially you throw the data and you say predict, and each guy works on it and says what's the score they have, and the best leaderboard wins. So looking at this, if you see, there are these early roles, there are these middle level roles, and there are these senior level roles. And we are working on these kind of programs. So this is the approach that we have taken. For very early roles, you need a longer duration, typically months, to build this kind of data science skills, which has foundation, which has core, which has technology. And then you have these role-based programs. For example, people who are working in machine learning, they are looking at, can I use now AI? Can I use time series? Can I use SVMs? So certain additional advanced techniques. And then there are people typically who are working in certain domain, retail or BFSI or HR practice. They're saying, help me solve my use case. So for each of these, this is what we have been working with the clients. So at the early roles, the boot camp, the core IT and data science, along with certain behavioral programs, especially like the speak up, creative confidence, these are the skills that are required at this level. For the role-based, depending on what role, very customized programs are required. That's what clients are saying. And for the domain, they are saying, for example, we have seen in the morning certain kind of use cases. In HR, they are very prevalent. Similarly, in banking, certain other use cases are there. So on the technology front, if you see, what they are trying to do is split this use case to a technique and from technique to a technology to implement. So at every role, this is what the expectation is, saying we want to build capabilities in these techniques, the middle one, and using these technologies. Okay? I have nothing against other technologies, but this is what people are asking. Those who have been using proprietary are also asking today to move on to these technologies. Having said this, this is what is our proposition. We have programs for these learning communities with right and compelling programs and skills, what people are looking for. So we have these programs. Have been flashed already thrice, so I will take if there is any one or two questions. Thank you very much.